Hi YouTubers, I'm glad you're all here today. Thank you for joining me once again. Please share, subscribe, and thumbs up my videos. If you do wish to support my work, I'm also on Patreon. USGS is reporting 9 earthquakes within the last 24 hours. They're at Yellowstone super volcano. They don't feel that any major eruption is coming at any time soon. They're hoping if there is a small eruption, it would be about the size maybe of Mount St. Helens, maybe a little bit larger. There has been 40 smaller eruptions since its last major eruption about 350,000 years ago. It looks like Little West Thumb has settled down a little bit, whereas Holmes Hill and the borehole for the Madison River, the activity has increased. This here is the monitor for Little West Thumb, or as some like to call it, West Thumb. I downloaded data from 4 different monitors again today. On the left is Madison River. Here next to it is the borehole for the Madison River area. It's a very deep well, probably about 600 feet under the ground. Next to it is Holmes Hill, and then we have Little West Thumb on the right. For some reason, the Madison River, for the last 4 hours, the data did not download. USGS says the most recent earthquake, which I agree with, right here, let's do that, is Holmes Hill, is a magnitude 2.8. They actually didn't fudge about it. It is, in fact, a magnitude 2.8. And if you look at the hertz over here on the left, yeah, between 1 and 10 hertz, slightly above. Let's go to the earthquake signature and extract that, make it larger. Rounded tops, harmonic tremors. You see that when a volcano is recharging for an eruption. There is some smaller ones. We can see one right there. Let me make it bigger. This is not being reported yet. At 1538. Now this magnitude 2.8 came in at 10:01 a.m. today. And we'll go to this other little one right there, and I'll have to make it bigger once again. I don't know why, but it often shrinks. At 1538. It's marked in red, so that's why I picked that one. That would have been at 10:38 a.m. local time. That comes in as a magnitude 1.38. Let's see what else. The next one marked in red would be this one right there at 16:09 Universal Time, which would be 11:09 a.m. today. That comes in as a magnitude 1.36. The next one marked in red is that one right there, about 1 minute later, and that comes in as a magnitude 1.07. That would have been 11:10 a.m. today. That's all I got downloaded so far. Going to the stream view, this is Holmes Hill here at the bottom. You can see it's been very active. Look at all those quakes. And then at the top, that would be the Madison River area. That's the borehole. And you can see these two here, and then that one there, and then we got another one before that. And that shows up both on the borehole for Madison River, and they also show up for Holmes Hill. They're at the bottom. So, like I said, they did not fudge on the magnitude for this one earthquake, but the other more recent ones, they just don't seem to have found the time to get around to reporting them. Let's go over to the borehole. We'll make that one larger. Alright, here we have the borehole for the Madison River area, and you can see it comes in as a magnitude 2.86. And what else do we have here? The next one marked in red would probably be this one at 1443, which would be at about 9:43 a.m. today. That comes in as a magnitude 2.31. They are not reporting that earthquake. The next one marked in red would be 1336, also not being reported. Often on the weekends, yeah, they don't report them. They send a text message. That's why it's marked in red. And then the geologists are supposed to come in and take a look and decide what the magnitude is. But they're gone. That one comes in as a magnitude 2.88. And yeah, you can see between most of the activity between 1 and 10 hertz. Maybe Monday when they come back to work, they'll report it. Let's take a look at this. Now this one looks like it's mostly tectonic. This was a movement of the plates causing this earthquake right here. Someone messed up on here. Now for today, at 8:36 Universal Time, they are reporting a magnitude 2.7. That would have been at 8:36 a.m. local time, or 13:36 Universal Time, 6.4 kilometers in depth, or about 4 miles below sea level. That would be in the upper magma chamber. But it only shows up for the monitor for Holmes Hill. You can see Madison River, the borehole for the Madison River area, Holmes Hill, and then Little West Thumb. So I'll make that one bigger. Yeah, they messed up. 8:32 and 25 seconds. You can see the lines of melt here at Holmes Hill. That comes in as a magnitude 1.33, a real small one. We'll go to its signature there. There it is. It's probably even smaller than that. They must have someone new working there. Or they pushed the wrong button. I don't know. Yeah, they're only reporting 9 earthquakes today. And yeah, this is the last 24 hours. I would guess there's probably at least 40. Let me bring this up a little bit more. At least 40, if not more. And that's just what's marked in red. I don't know if I reported this one yesterday. This is last night. This would have been at 4:25 p.m. Not being reported. Maybe they had already gone home. Missed it. I don't know. But it's a magnitude 3.16. Yeah, they're having more and more magnitude 3s. I picked this one out because it was larger. Let's go to this one right here. Okay, at 22:27. At 5:27 last night. I believe I did do this one. I'm pretty darn sure I did report this one. And let's come down and see what else we might have that's larger. I already did these. There's the one at Madison River. And I believe this is the other one. Yeah, that's the other one. At Madison River. Let me go back to that one and look at the hertz. For that one, and then for that one. And let's come down a little bit. Oh, that one is working. Okay. And see, that one's not working. I don't know why. I noticed that the tilt. See how the lines are all kind of screwed up? Offline. Kind of tilted. So here we have the tilt meter for that borehole. Borehole 207. This is for the last week. And let me bring it down. Okay, top is X, bottom is Y. And then all the earthquakes, see the uplift is basically straight up a little bit towards the south. And then going to the last 30 days, it's been kind of holding steady, it looks like. And then come down. Yeah, most of the earthquakes have been towards the south. And then if you look at it going all the way back from when they started monitoring it in 2011, you can see we got a steady uplift in both north and east direction. Now we know as the caldera rises up, the lake is slowly tipping, mostly towards the northern end The ground has been rising there. So this is for the last 7 days. And yeah, we definitely got uplift still going on. See how it's moving towards the north? And then we'll come down for the last week. Back on, let's see, what date would that be? Probably the 11th for the one direction. It reached its highest and then it started tilting some more. But you can see it's a steady uplift for the last 30 days. And then, yeah, it's going towards the east, northeast here. And, yeah, right here is where they reset the monitor. The borehole for Grant. Okay. And you can see all the dots. That means lots of shaking going on. Lots of earthquake. Last 7 days. Yeah, look at that. Oh my goodness. And then going back a month. Yeah, look at that. And then this is when they started tracking it back in 2009. Yeah, they reset the machine in 2018 when they started having all the activity. It went off the paper. Those of you that follow me will remember when I said it was going off the paper and they're going to have to reset it. And so, yeah, they reset it. And so it don't look as bad now. If you look at the thumbnails, you can see here in the Madison River area, most of the activity of it has been going on. That's where the last time where it had its major eruption, that it occurred, and it did a counterclockwise rotation. I've talked about this. Unzipping, boom, 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 going towards the south down by Heart Lake where it erupted then. Both calderas collapsed at the same time. If it did have a major eruption and not a small one, say the size of Mount St. Helens, maybe a little bit larger, it would definitely change the world as we know it. 90% of the population would probably die within the first year from lack of power and water and sanitation, food, electricity. You would be on your own. I'm sure you know that. There would be a mass migration, probably south. Governments have already, or the U.S. government has already made arrangements for the contingency of government to move to other countries. Africa? I forget which country said, nope, we're not going to take you. I forget. Many of you might remember what countries would be taking us and which ones wouldn't. All we can do is keep prepping and keep praying that it settles down. I have never seen activity like this in all the years that I've been following Yellowstone. Many of you have been with me since I started monitoring what's going on at Yellowstone, and you would agree, yeah, it's never had activity like this before. So, what are your thoughts? Please put those comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please share, please thumbs up, and please subscribe. And I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.